It's well known that the U.S. gives Pakistan billions of dollars a year, theoretically because it helps America fight the war on terror. Now it turns out many of the claims for cash Pakistan makes are, let's just say, questionable. Here are some of the examples reported today in the Wall Street Journal from internal Pentagon documents. They billed us $50 million for hygiene and chemicals. Okay, like Purell. $26 million for barbed wire. And that buys enough barbed wire to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and keep on going on the border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. A lot of barbed wire. And then $70 million for radar maintenance. How often does it crash? Well, needless to say, those kinds of bills are forcing the U.S. to question what's legitimate and what's not. It seems U.S. officials have come to the conclusion much of that is bogus. The U.S. denial rates have climbed from a low of 1.6% in 2005 to now denying about 44%. That's in 2009, the last full year we have records for. And at this point, trust between the two countries is nearly non-existent. Pakistan has done little to crush terror networks along the Afghan border, and a lot of people say it may be time to pull the plug on Pakistani aid. Now, a little over 2 weeks since the U.S. raided Osama bin Laden's compound, the relationship between the two countries is downright dysfunctional. A majority of Americans think it is likely the Pakistani officials were helping the most wanted terrorist in the world to hide, and many are clamoring for an explanation. So what exactly is going on? This man knows. James Woolsey is the former head of the CIA, now a venture capitalist, and joins us from Washington. Thanks for being with us.
Good to be with you, Edie.
A mess. That's, I think, a pretty fair way to describe our relationship with Pakistan. Senator Kerry just got back from meeting with the Prime Minister. He says that Pakistan is going to take immediate steps to help. They said, we'll give you the helicopter tail back. Now, I'm assuming they've already got everything they need off that. What do we really need them to give us?
We need them to go after the Haqqani network. There are several terrorist groups up there in their territory across the border from Afghanistan, but the Haqqani network is the worst. They're the ones that are killing the most Americans and allies and Afghans in their attacks across the border. That just needs to stop. It's just completely unacceptable. We've had working relationships with Pakistan off and on for some time, and some things we've worked on well together. I think better when General Musharraf was there, frankly, than more recently. But a lot of the people we have caught or killed that are affiliated with Al-Qaeda or some of those other terrorist organizations that's come about as a result of working with Pakistan. But the situation with bin Laden having been in that building right next to their military academy campus, it's just very hard to not be extremely suspicious that they knew.
Let me ask you specifically about this, because something just didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me. And that was, I get that we don't tell the Pakistanis that we're going in ahead of time because we're afraid someone is going to tip off bin Laden. But once we're in there on the ground fighting, why not call then? Because it seems the only reason not to let them know, because we are at this point now facing the possibility of an armed confrontation with an ally, the only reason not to let them know, hey, we're in there doing this just, to let you know, is because we were afraid they might actively take arms or matters against us.
Or just shut everything down and tell us, thank you for the phone call, but your people are going to be our prisoners soon. I mean, I don't know what they would have done. It would have been a big gamble to run the operation in such a way as to let them know anything before we got out of the country. But this is a complicated situation. I mean, it was possible, I think the odds are down around 5 or 10%, but it's possible that a few people somewhere in the ISI, Pakistani intelligence, knew that bin Laden was there, but the very top people did not. I think that's unlikely, but it's possible that very few people in the Pakistani system knew they were there.
Now we're getting more details about the operation, and I'm just going to play devil's advocate because people are saying this, mostly on the internet, but they're still saying it. They're going, hey, the story has changed numerous times. What exactly happened in the raid, where the SEALs were let down, where bin Laden was when they confronted him, was he armed, was he reaching for a gun? We're getting another list of details today that aren't necessarily the same as the original ones. Why such a change in the specifics?
Well, I think there are two things. First of all, they really did encounter a terrible problem with that helicopter that couldn't operate in the warm air well enough, and they had to crash it and bring another helicopter in. It's marvelous that they were able to pull that off. So there was a lot of extreme difficulty that the SEALs surmounted, and bravo. The other is that the administration has a propensity for getting information out very quickly in order to try to beat people like you and even the folks who in Twitter and so forth. So it's and sometimes if you release a story early, you do it before you've thought through it enough, or before you've gotten the correcting facts a few hours later. For example,
let me ask you about the pace at which the information was let out and what was revealed, because Secretary Gates made some rather scathing comments about the safety and security of these extremely brave men who went in and conducted this mission, saying that because they had agreed in the Situation Room, they're not releasing the operational details. And he says, lo and behold, within a day, everything's being blabbed out there. How severe was it that the details that were released did come out?
I think they said some very, very stupid things. For
Like
example,
what?
Why in the world would they release the fact that in the intelligence material that the SEALs collected, we had a list of the locations of al-Qaeda safe houses? Why would you want al-Qaeda and the public to know that you had a list of their safe houses? Why not watch the safe houses secretly and see who comes and goes and see if you have to follow someone? I mean, they said some things that it's just, to me, it's unimaginable that they would have gone public with.
Something else has happened in Pakistan recently, and tell me what this means, because I was kind of shocked by it. In December, the CIA station chief in Pakistan was outed. And then, all of a sudden, as soon as that bin Laden raid occurs, the new CIA station chief is outed. Now, the first one, he's like, my life is in danger. He heads out of the country. This one apparently is staying there. But what does that do? If we can't trust them to do the intelligence and attack these guys, we've got our intelligence people on the ground there. What does this do to our operations by having them release these names?
I think there's a great deal of hostility on the part of the ISI, Pakistani intelligence, much more hostility than there is in the Pakistani army. But the Pakistani intelligence people, for example, General Pasha, the head of intelligence's speech Friday to the Pakistani legislature was really, really harsh on the United States. And I think that the intelligence folks there are really quite at odds with the whole idea of working together with Americans. And I think they are probably the ones that are protecting the Haqqani and some of the other networks, in part because Pakistan would rather have a chaotic Afghanistan than a stable Afghanistan that's friendly to India. The last thing it wants is Afghanistan and India getting along well on its two flanks.
James Woolsey, couldn't ask for a better guest to help us understand what's going on there and put it into context. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good to see you again.
Justice is not about agenda. It's not about mobilizing people. It's about dialing for corporate dollars. These two parties have sold the U.S. government and the American people to the highest bidders.
The United States of America.